Game of Life training.
Hello, hello. Welcome. My name is Aaron David Spiegel with Game of Life Training, training for the game of life, the stuff that you don't learn in school. Um, Today I wanted, thanks for joining me today on your drive at 5, today at 5:30, live, no jive. I wanted to talk about legal versus lawful, slavery versus freedom, man versus corporation, because it's something I'm passionate about. And I think that we all have to share with each other when we learn something, um, pass that information along. And I was having a conversation with my sister, and this is part of really the reason I'm talking about this today is because she said something about having to do something. And I said, "Oh, I was, I won't say what, but I was doing something." And she said, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" And she was like, "Well, because it could I don't want to get in any trouble." And I'm like, "How are we going to get in any trouble for doing this?" Fill in the blank. It doesn't matter. Say I want to give you an Xbox controller. I don't know. And the you know I'm not supposed to send an Xbox controller. I don't know. But the point is, she didn't want to get in any trouble. And I was like, essentially, we're not doing anything wrong. I'm not doing anything wrong. You're not doing anything wrong. We're not causing loss, injury, or harm to anybody. So why would it matter? And that got me on thinking that people just blatantly accept, tacitly accept everything that they've been told and what they're told to do, regardless of if it makes any sense or not. Because it, it does make sense, because you've been conditioned so much in your life that that's just the way it is. That's just what you accept. That's what you know. That's your reality. That is the reality. But it made me think that, that reality has been given to you. It's not true. It's not real. It's not legitimate, except that you give it that. So your reality is the reality is that nobody has any authority over you except that which you give them. And somebody that's really good about talking about this stuff is, or there's a few people that I've learned this stuff from, and I'll mention it after a minute. But anyway, you give authority away to somebody, whether it makes sense or not. And the whole C-19 fiasco was so, like, it was such a good experiment to show how weak-minded people are. And even though you know better, you still just submit. There's a movie called Compliance, and you should check that movie out because it's freaking awesome. It's psychological warfare is really what it is. And everybody was uh, exposed to it, and very few saw exactly what was going on because they have broken this hypnosis that is the world. And a lot of people didn't see, and those who saw tried to tell those people who didn't see, and you know disagreements ensued. So um in hindsight, a lot of people who didn't see now do see. So that's the slavery portion of things that I wanted to touch on, because the powers that be, whoever put that whole plan into motion, the slave masters, I don't know. It was an experiment, and they wanted to see how compliant people were, and most people were. And they used the most amazing psychological warfare and propaganda, to sway the general people to believing that they're, some way or another, they're doing good by, um, putting in something that has never been tested, and then they become the test. So, I mean, I wasn't persuaded. And anybody else that I knew, I tried to share that with them. Another thing was the compliance was with the face diapers. And I mean, I was one of 200 people in Kroger not wearing a face diaper because I knew better. And I do have complete faith in my immune system. Um, so it was not easy, and it wasn't fun because people looked at me like I had three heads. But I knew, and then invariably I would talk to people in the store at some point, and they would pull their face diaper down, and I'd say, "Why are you wearing that?" And they'd say, "I don't know, you're supposed to, blah blah blah." And I'm like, and then even after that, people would go into, like, I'd see other people that I didn't even talk to, and after that, they would at least have pulled their diaper down so that it wasn't like up here. And people that wore, I mean, it was just like, "Are you willing to put this thing on your face?" And people would say, "It's no big deal. It's just a face diaper. That's it. It's no big deal. Just do it because it's good for everybody." But, you know, there were stats and facts and information available that was to the contrary of that. I mean, but you had to look for it, and it was being so suppressed, and that was just another indicator for me. Like, how can you have this kind of information suppression and cut it out, and people are cheering for it? Like, let's not have the First Amendment, or yeah, the First Amendment, freedom of speech, right? So it kind of sent me on a journey, though, because from there I was like, just fascinated, and I've been on a journey of seeking truth and information as far back as I can remember now. But it sent me on a journey down the law rabbit hole, and rights and freedom and legality versus lawful, and slavery versus freedom. And then when I got into the law thing, I realized, wait a minute. And I've studied this for probably 10, 15 years, maybe not even studied it, but I've been aware that if you don't know this already, you have been put on paper as a corporation. Somebody has signed you into being a corporation. So there's the man you, and then there's the all caps name you, that is the corporation. And that corporation is traded publicly under the United States of America Corporation. So there's been this, bastardization of terms and definitions to the point where people are confused. And there's also been such a wave and a wash and like hidden information and programmed information through the TV, mainly, primarily, for me at least growing up, that, has basically limited people's understanding of the world around, the possibilities, and their true beingness as a human. So, what does it mean to be human? Human is, God and man together. That's your spirit living a human experience, right? If your body is a vessel of God, then that means God is in you, and you are living a human experience. That's what your life is. That's what we're seeing and going through on a daily. That's our human experience. What's it like to be human? We go through the states, right? We all cry, we all laugh, we all, do wrong, we all do good, we all feel good about ourselves, we all feel like crap about ourselves. Those are the, states, and every state in between, where that's what it is to be human and to experience that. Your individual experience is your individual journey. That's but we're all going through that, you know, at large, and then each one individualized. So it's called the LOM, which is the plural of God, which is you and me individualized, although everything is God. So you can't separate out from the whole, right? If you have, say, you have a glass of water and then you take a dropper and you put a drop on the table, that water is still part of that glass of water. I mean, it's part of its source, right? So it's just take a bunch of those. That glass of water represents God as a whole, and then the drops are the LOM, which is all of us as part of that, wholeness. So anyway, it got me on a rabbit hole of law and rights and freedoms, and I watched this guy Paul Unslaved, um, who was a major, or still is a major influence, and who has the understanding, the principal value that you are a man under God and nobody has authority over you. And he also has good information on actual law and strategy for that. I'll say this: he's not for everybody as far as things go. So his presentation is different, but it's genuine and from the heart. And he's one of the realest ones out there as far as things go. I mean, he's not a sellout, and he'll, say it the way it is, whether you like what his presentation or not. He's still spouting the truth. Um, so he was one. Also, I wanted to say Brian from Here's the Deal was another one, or still is. I still watch his stuff because he's putting out there, public information. And the more that we know, the more we can actually do something about it. But if you're ignorant and you're just caught up in being a slave, then you're not going to be able to make any change. You really have given up all your freedom. And another guy, Brandon Joe Williams, he's really, really good about the law portion of things. He's got a course called Contract Killer. Um, there's two courses actually. One of them, the first one, and then 2.0. I did not make it through all the courses or all the videos. They're about 40 minutes or so, and I think I've up to like out of 21 videos, I'm at like 13 or something like that. And then he teaches you paperwork and how to file paperwork into the courts. So he's another great resource. But those three guys, and then Sean Paul Reyes with Long Island Audit. He was probably one of my first people that I started watching. They're auditors, and they go out and they film the police, and they film the police violating people's rights. And the main right for Sean Paul Reyes is the First Amendment right, which is the freedom of the press. So the RAPs, religion, uh, assembly, petition. That's Brian. He says RAPs, RAPPS. Anyway, I don't know it off the top of my head right this second, but you can find him, find that. Anyway, the point is, you can't do anything until you learn. You have to be able to stand on principle, stand on um, truth, stand on being a man under God. You have to stand as a soul, not as a corporation. And the courts look at you as a corporation. Every corporation looks at you as a corporation. If you are contracting with them, if you are doing business with them, if you sign anything, you're signing into a contract with them. And so you are now privy to the rules and regulations of that corporation. And that's the same with getting your driver's license. You have a right to travel, um, by the Constitution and by being a man on the land. Nobody can impede your right to travel. Uh, a motor vehicle, this is where the terms have been bastardized. A motor vehicle is um, something that's used by a driver. A driver is somebody who is transporting goods or persons for um, currency, for money, currency. This goes really, really deep, and it's pretty crazy, all the information about this. So it could be overwhelming, but this is the gist of it, the short of it. And so um, we are inadvertently signing into contracts, and the driver's license is one of them. And it basically puts you, you're signing into, like, I'll now obey the traffic codes and statutes. Those are codes and statutes versus law. Law is do no harm. That's the law of one, the law of God. That's the law of the land. Mind your own business, do no harm. That's it. If you are not committing a crime, loss, injury, or harm, then you're not committing a crime. If you're not causing loss, injury, or harm, you're not committing a crime. But all these statutes, policies, and codes are to generate money for the corporation, which is the state of, the city of, the police department, city of, um, and so a corporation's number one thing is to make more money. They have to make more money for their shareholders. Is the law of a corporation. So they're going to try to make as much money as possible, which means that they're going to find reasons to extract money from you, whether they're legitimate or not, unless you know this information and you can stand on principle. Even if you know the information, if you don't believe deep down inside that you are a man of God and that these corporations are subservient to you, then you're not going to be able to stand your ground. And then guess what? You might get hemmed up in the process. You might have to go to jail. You might, get your ass kicked if you can't present yourself. Ideally, this starts from the ground up. It takes all of us. You talk to the police officer and you explain this information to him. Listen, you're a part of a corporation. I'm a man traveling on the land. And then, talk to them man to man without getting into a contract, or you just don't say anything. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to go about it, but I would have a conversation with a police officer and say, look, this is man to man. Um, and this is off the record. I'm not having a contract. I'm not signing into a contract with you verbally at this point. I reserve all of my rights. And listen, I understand you're trying to do good out here, and you're acting as a corporation. Your job is to generate money. That's your job. I mean, part of it for sure. So that's not why the police typically, it's not why somebody would get into that. They want to help people, right? But they've been coerced and brainwashed, and it's just been generally accepted that this is the way things are. But it's not. And that's what I'm here to share with you. But you got to understand it first, and you got to be able to stand on it. And what can you do individually? You can only do what you can do individually. So whatever you're capable of doing is, I mean, it's a matter of your courage. Most people knew better to wear a face diaper, but did it anyway because they didn't have the courage to not do it. It's not an easy road to freedom or to have freedom. People died in our past, and I think that it's just really kind of sad to, see that everybody has been so brainwashed, but there is a great awakening happening, and there's more people like me that are talking about this stuff, more people like me and you who have woken up and say, wait a minute, something's not right. What they're trying to teach us is not okay. They've kind of overstepped their bounds, and somebody talked about it as a pendulum, and they're like, they went way out here with the COVID thing, and now it's on the swing back, and here we come, the ones that they went too far. You just went too far. So here we are. There's a lot of us out here like this. And the question then is, what can I do about it? Well, what you can do about it is think for yourself, number one. Work on yourself, number one. Become a better version of yourself, number one. um, give less and less credit to what they are trying to, the information, the narrative on the TV or on, social media. If you're seeing a lot of it, there's probably a reason. Do you think that all the information that goes through the internet cannot be stopped or controlled? Do you think that there's a possibility that we're pushed stuff in our feed through social media to encourage a type of thinking or a narrative across the board, general narrative? Do you think that that's even possible? Probably, right? I mean, there's so much technology these days. Well, as being a human or a man under God or a spirit embodied in this flesh, um, when you understand that and that, nobody else has authority over you except that what you give it. And so if you are capable of taking care of yourself, and most people are really not, they are dependent on the society, the system that they've grown up on into, um, they can't make a decision for themselves. They want to be told what to do. So if you can't stand on that principle, just don't do anything. Don't fight it because you're going to get yourself in more trouble. You have to be able to stand on principle and say, look, I am not the corporate uh, entity, the ends legions known as all caps Aaron David Spiegel. I am the man, Aaron David Spiegel, just in lowercase. I am the man, the living soul. I am not a dead entity, a corpse, a corporation. I am not that. So you got the wrong one. How you get to that, how you, as somebody who's confronting this, get to that corporation or entity, I don't, you know, I couldn't tell you how you get there, how you reach that. I can represent that, but I am not that. So it's word semantics, really, because definitions and terms, but really, ultimately, you just have to know I'm a man on the land. You have no authority. I wasn't causing any harm. It's the same thing about giving an ID to a police officer. You don't have to do that by your Fourth Amendment right to be secure in your persons, places, and effects. You're supposed to be able to be secure wherever you are without, having some like this. Okay, for example, I come up to you and we're walking down the street, you're walking down toward me, I'm walking toward you, and I stop you and I say, "Hey, what are you doing out here?" And you say, "Oh, I'm just going for a walk. What's going on?" And I'd be like, well, one of the neighbors up there said something to me. I just need to identify you. Go ahead and let me see your driver's license, please." And you say, "What? I'm not giving you my driver's license." And I said, "No, you need to give him your driver's license. Somebody up the street told me that you were suspicious, and I need to find out who you are. So I just need to see your driver's license." And you're not doing the damn thing. You're just walking, minding your own business, right? And you'll be like, "Get out of here, kid. Leave me alone. I'm not showing you my ID." Or worse, you can be like, "Get the F out of here. And, if you freaking touch me, I'm kicking your ass," right? And there's justification for that, and it's real, and it makes sense, actually. But you put a uniform on somebody and have them come up to you in a commercial capacity and do the same exact thing, and you have to listen to them. That doesn't make any sense, especially if you're not doing it, except that you've been conditioned that. That's just the way it is. It shows it on TV. Don't mess with the cops, respect authority. And I'm not saying don't respect people, but I'm saying think for yourself and be a free person, free man. See, person's even been bastardized. Person means corporation, people, a man. That's it. You're a man or a woman under God. That's it. You're we the people, right? And it takes all of us in order for us to stand on these, freedoms and principles, or else there'll come a point where we cannot. We just can't. It's I mean, it's fairly close. And the stuff that happened over the last 4 years with censorship and stuff like that is a prime example. I mean, if you look at, back in the day, it's no different than, where are the papers? Let me see the papers. And, people are being carted off and led and slowly boiled in a pot. And it may be too late to jump out of that pot, and it may not. But Brandon Joe Williams has done great work in opening the eyes to the law and what you actually can do. And he talks about taxes and how taxes are voluntary and you don't have to pay taxes. You just opt out, essentially. And it says it right there. I mean, so, and people are fearful, okay? I'm fearful that I'm going to get in trouble. I'm going to get caught. Well, there's ways to go about this with honor. And that's the idea. Be honorable and opt out. Be honorable, do the right thing by what is really, truly right, what we know is right. We all have rights and freedoms. I don't have the right to come up to you and smack you in the face at all. I just don't have it, right? Well, nobody has a right to come up to you and take your stuff or smack you in the face. Nobody has that right, except that you think it's okay. You just like, oh well, that's just the way it is. You got to pay your taxes and you got to die. That's the conditioning, and that's been like, people just accept it. It's okay. That's just the way it is. I'm just saying, think about it. Think about it for yourself. And it's like if I said, yeah, you're working there, and it's been misrepresented, misconstrued. They've lied about different things. They've misrepresented different things. Your taxes aren't going to um, fix potholes. It's being stolen, plundered, and you're just giving it away. You're volunteering it. But if you lie about stuff, if you say, I'm gonna play in this little system that you guys got going on, and I'm just gonna forge the information. Well, then now you're setting yourself up for success, right? Because you're playing in their system. Now you are privy to the rules of that system. So you have to opt out of that contract. And that's where Brandon Joe Williams comes in. Lots and lots and lots of great information. Paul Enslaved is information plus entertainment. Um, and it's unconventional, the presentation, but it's very powerful. And Brian with Here's the Deal, and I'm sure there's others. So, but those are three people that I watch fairly regular, because they're just chock full of information. And then you got to step back every so often and get out of that and take your own action and do your own thing. So, um, everything that we do in this realm is voluntary. Everything that we do in this realm, you don't have to. You don't have to. You don't have to. You've been conditioned to believe that you have to, but you don't have to. If you're not hurting anybody, you don't have to. Okay, you don't. There's nothing you have to do. The possibilities are endless. The possibilities are infinite, and it's you that holds yourself back. Only you, but it's not your fault because that's what you were taught to do. But once you know that that's what's going on, you have to become aware of your thoughts and your words and your imaginal acts and then change those, direct those, write those down. That's the formula. That's it. Write it down. That's the formula. Remind yourself, recondition yourself. I am becoming more confident every day. I'm becoming happier every day. I'm becoming more healthy every day. I'm becoming a better person every day, a better man every day. I'm becoming um, more joyous every day. I am becoming whatever. Write it down. Write it down. Write it down. Put it on your mirror. Put an alarm on your phone. Remind yourself. Put it for, say thank you. Say thank you. Say thank you, Father. Appreciate 5 things that you have. I can breathe. My nose is attached to my face. I can see mostly. You know, uh, I have running water. I mean, there's 10 things that you can think about at any given point and appreciate those things. And that's a high vibration of energy, appreciation. And then you're also drawing opportunities back for you to appreciate by being in that vibration. So um, it all comes down to knowing who you are. That's that's the difference between freedom and slavery. When you really know who you are truly free because nobody has any authority over you. When you don't know who you are a slave because you're a slave to the system and you're a slave to your own ignorance. And even when you do know, you can still be a slave. It takes practice to have that freedom. It takes discipline to have that freedom. It takes courage to have that freedom. So you have to decide that you want the freedom. Or you can live in a slave system, keep going, and watch everything burn because that's the only direction it's going in. Who knows where we're going? I'm down for anything. You know, you have to be down. You have to be down to, put the fight up. Like if 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 I'm standing on rights and freedoms and true principles and God, and I know what I'm standing on is right, I am willing to go to jail, um, die if necessary, though that's definitely not how I want to go about things. But yeah, I'm not willing to bend on something that I know is not okay. I'm not. I mean, to what degree, right? But don't tell me I can't do something or don't tell me I can do something because you don't have authority over me. If I'm not doing anything that is, quote, wrong, and wrong is subjective. So what is wrong to you is not wrong to me, and what is wrong to me is not wrong to you necessarily. But what is wrong is causing loss, injury, or harm, and that's indisputable. That's the law. It's the only law. So live by the golden rule. Know who you are. Instead of fighting with somebody like a police officer and saying, "Hey, you guys, like I'm better than you," blah blah. Share with them with the golden rule. They're in a situation trying to do a job, really trying to do a good job. I'd say ideally. I mean, people are people, and you know we all have emotions and faults. So there are police out there that do not have good intentions, and there are other police that have good intentions and either know that they're screwing up people's rights and just have to go with it because again they may not have the courage to do anything different, or the repercussions, or they may not have a job and they've got a family to feed. It's a fear thing. It's control by fear. So you have to have the courage to stand up and say, I'm just not going to do this because it's just not right. That's it. I'm not going to do it because it's just not right. And it takes courage to do that because you may get some repercussions for that. And you also have to have some basic understanding and be able to not defend necessarily, but just explain just that, your situation. I am a man under God. Nobody has authority over me. And you have to get out of your contracts because you've signed into these contracts inadvertently, unconsciously, ignorantly, and they're holding you. So to break free of those, that's the contract killer course from Brandon Joe Williams. You can find his stuff. He's called onestupidfuck.com. And there's Williams and Williams Law Williams and Williams Law Firm.com, something like that. Anyway, Brandon Joe Williams, he's from Pickleteria. I mean, really good stuff, good stuff. Practical usage stuff too, things that you can do. One thing that you can do, one thing that you can do. And if anything comes soon, there's aliens attacking us everywhere. There's orbs and drones everywhere. So, the next thing is going to be, and I'm telling you right now, if you know the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and how good that they do for America and the world, and they, have been so good to us because, for one, they bought up all the farmland. Bill did, right? So I think we're going to eat better as a result of it. And they're giving us this food that's amazing. It's GMO. They can actually manufacture food. They can manufacture meat. And that's just awesome. It's so good for you. It's so good for your body. Doesn't have any chemical effect on you whatsoever. as opposed to, natural food and vegetables and things of the earth. Those things, they're so common, and they're not special, okay? Because they don't have patents on them. And who wants to sell those? We're not going to sell that. You know, chemicals are better to sell than produce. There's no money in that. So there's been a lot put into medicines. Take advantage of it. Bill Gates is leading the path. He's my hero. I appreciate that guy big time. There's a lot of guys like that. But these are also front runners, okay? These are people that get the media, get the stories. The stuff gets out for a reason. Like I said, anything can be controlled. So my thing is this: question everything, because what is real? Who knows? Are we living in a simulation? Are we living in it? Is this a big computer program? Do we have this, sense that we are individuals, individualized? But, we truly can create our own reality. That's happening. I see that. So then it becomes, what do I want to believe? What do I want to condition into myself? What can I believe? That's going to be supportive rather than tear me down. It's me against me, right? It's always going to be me against me. So the better you do, the better the world around you does. And that's just the fact. You can't help other people if you can't help yourself. So work on yourself first. And how do you do that? You write it down and you practice it. I am becoming a better person every day. I'm becoming more courageous every day. I'm becoming more disciplined every day. I'm becoming healthier every day. I'm becoming whatever, you know. But the first part of it is just the awareness and the decision. You want to decide, I'm going to be, and then you say, I'm becoming better. And you take one action, and then you use momentum. Take that action again. One thing we talk about is doing 3 days of no excuses. For the next 3 days, no excuses. Right here, right now, I'm making a decision that I'm going to drink 4 16-ounce glasses of water each day. I'll set my alarm on my phone to go off at, 4 different times of the day. That'll be a reminder I'm drinking that water, or I'm going to carry this gallon with me and I'm going to drink this much of it for the next 3 days. For the next 3 days, I'm going for a walk. I'm doing 5 minutes out and 5 minutes back. You can always go for a walk. You can always get dressed for a walk, no matter where you are. Just 5 minutes out, 5 minutes back. If you have a treadmill, 10 minutes. Um, I'm just going to do, but it's got to be conscious. You've got to decide that that's what you're doing. And then you have to focus on it. Everybody wants to do better, but nobody wants to focus on doing better. And it's not even that they don't want to focus on it, it's just that your attention is so uh, scattered and diffused by all the stimulus everywhere around us all the time. So, self care is the best care, and you have to take care of yourself. Self care is the best care. I take care of myself. Anyway, so you have to take care of yourself, and you could literally make it a full time job. The more I take care of myself, the more I'm like, dang, I could be doing more, and it does take time. I mean, it could be hours in a day. I mean, you can always be doing something. You can even research things. There's so much stuff that we can do to better our organs. I mean, we can supplement with different things. There's different practices, meditation, physical exercise, uh, challenges, mental exercises, all kinds of anything all day long. I mean, you could literally just be working on yourself all day, learning a new trade, whatever, learning a new skill, learning how to cook better, learning how to farm off the land better, learning how to be self-sustainable, learning more about yourself, learning, how to be a better version of yourself. You could always learning. I mean, you could spend the whole time working on yourself all day long, and ideally, you spend more of the time doing that, and then the world becomes less of an impact on your mental and physical vitality. It becomes up to you, and you can do it. And once you start getting some results, those results lead to more results. So the first and hardest part is taking actions. Make it a decision today. Share this with a friend or a loved one. Feel free to leave a comment if anything inspired you, or if any of this pertains to you, and subscribe, uh, because that's the way the information is getting out there to more and more people. It's our obligation to share the information with other people. Okay, it's just a human obligation. If the stove is hot, I will tell you when you're putting your hand there to keep you from burning yourself. I will not let you burn yourself that way. Well, it's the same principle. Help somebody when you have the ability to help somebody. It's not that hard, but you got to be aware, and it takes all of us. And with that, I'll say do your best, pay attention, use your words, and make it your best day ever.